Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show brought to you by Over the Bar. We are tuning in tonight for some match week predictions. So back with another prediction show. Looking forward to this one. Loads of big games coming up over the weekend, starting Friday night. Before we get into it, of course, joined by Mark this evening. Mark, how are you this lovely Thursday evening?
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, looking forward to another big weekend of football. Yeah, obviously, just a reminder as well, guys, there will be a vlog going out after this show as well. It's all been put together rather hastily, admittedly, but at around 10:30 German time and 9:30 UK time, there will be the latest live Bundesliga vlog. So if anyone's watching today, check that out. It's going to be on soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So just before we get cracking, all the usual little bits and bobs of admin. If you can leave a thumbs up on the show, as always, it's a little click, but it helps us, believe it or not. Comment along. If you want to share your thoughts and feelings about the predictions, let us know what you think is going to happen this weekend. Some big games at the top and bottom of the league. So plenty to share with us as well. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking that red button so you don't miss out on anything, basically. I mean, that we've done 3 shows already this week, hoping to do fantasy tomorrow. I need to confirm that with Runa shortly. Like Mark said, vlog's going out in about an hour's time. There's another one coming out. There are other plans this weekend. It's non-stop. So me and Mark I rushed up our feet. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. And yeah, all the likes, all the comments, they really do help us along the way. So it'd be greatly appreciated if you can do so. Right then, straight to it then. Match week 31. We're really getting there now. 4 to go, big weekend. I'm going to kick off with the Friday night game, which of course is a really big one for the home side, Bochum, as they host Hoffenheim coming across to them. Hoffenheim, of course, coming off the back of a really good and exciting win from last weekend, 4-3 against Gladbach, that last-minute win. Their away form, I've repeated throughout the season, has been better than their home form, but checking, doing my research before the show, they have actually lost their last 3 away matches, Hoffenheim. So Bochum have always been strong at home, but their form overall has been absolute car crash. We know that since their win against Bayern many weeks ago now. So it's a huge game for them, implications for the bottom of the table. We know they slipped into the relegation playoff spot. So I really don't know how to call this one. The fact that Bochum is still so off colour, Hoffenheim will be confident. They'll probably feel confident about scoring goals against this Bochum side. It's whether Bochum just, as a whole unit, the core of that team really needs to stand up to a man. So I really want to sit on the fence here. I can't see a clear favourite. The home kind of advantage for Bochum is the only reason why I'm not saying it's going to be a Hoffenheim win. I'll say 1-1 for this one, I think, Mark. I'll have to sit on the fence.
Yeah, definitely a hard one to start the weekend off, that one. Yeah. And then moving on to the next game of the weekend, which is obviously a big one, and one of many massive, there's so many big games this weekend and a lot of big clubs facing off against each other. And this is one of them. Obviously, Bayern München in second against Eintracht Frankfurt in sixth. I mean, what can you say? Obviously, I think the main thing to mention with this one is it is as you can see in the title of this show, it's the kind of revenge match after that 5-1 thrashing that they dished out at the Commerzbank Arena earlier on in the season. I mean, that was kind of the start of the downfall for Thomas Tuchel and Bayern really this season, because everything was going fine until that point. That was actually their first defeat of the season. Ironically, when they lost that game, it would probably have been late November. So, they did start the season relatively well, but it's obviously fallen off badly since then in the league, with 5 defeats following that particular one in Frankfurt. But yeah, Frankfurt in general, they have a great record against Bayern, actually. I remember they generally beat them at least once pretty much every season. And I remember last year they got a draw at the Allianz as well, with Kolo Muani scoring, and that at the time put a big dent in Bayern's hopes. And obviously they did go on to win the title that year. They certainly won't be doing that again this year. But yeah, I mean, it is a hard one to call because obviously Bayern Munich have got that first leg next week, haven't they? Which is going to be a massive game, obviously against Real Madrid. So their eyes will be on that match. And Frankfurt, certainly, I thought that was the best they've been for a good while last week against Augsburg. I thought they played really well. The likes of Mamouche was back on form. Shaqiri looked really good. And, it was good to see Ekitike get his first goal as well. I thought he took that really well. So they're definitely well prepared coming into this one. But I mean, Bayern have also had a really good last couple of weeks too, in truth. They're back on a 3-match winning run now, and I do see them getting over the line in this one. I think there will be an element of revenge in Bayern's hearts in this one. I don't think it'll be easy because, Frankfurt are a team that they can play on the day, and they don't lose many matches either, with only 7 defeats over the whole season. But I am going to go for the 8th in this game, and I think it'll be a 3-1 home win, potentially with Kane bagging a double, which will keep him in that hunt for at least equalising Lewandowski's record.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that one. Next game, huge game, really, really big game for implications of the top 4 race. Obviously, we kind of talked about the implications and the impact of Bayern, Dortmund, and Leverkusen advancing in Europe last week, but we still don't know, and it's not a given that the German sides will do what they need to do to get the 18th, to get the 5th Champions League spot for next season. So there's still so much to play for because basically you need to earn the right regardless. So teams have to assume that it's only the top 4. So with that in mind, Leipzig hosting Dortmund is a massive, massive game. I think when we were talking on Monday's show, we were kind of sharing our thoughts a little bit on this. Having looked at it again, I still feel like I'm swaying a little bit to the home side in Leipzig. Their performances have been strong, I think. I'll throw out the Heidenheim game where they did a professional job and got the win. I think they've been a lot more free scoring and free flowing of late. Dortmund, yeah, the Champions League result was massive. They played so well against Atletico in most of that match. And obviously, they almost beat the unbeatables last weekend, didn't they, against Leverkusen, barring that last-minute equaliser. They would have done what no other team has done. Still patchy in places, just still not completely convinced. And they are also missing Emre Can and Maatsen because of yellow cards, so suspensions. That also puts a dampener on their ability to field their stronger players. I think they'll also be missing Daniel Marlon because of injury. So, yeah, tricky one for them. I think if Leipzig can go full ball, full noise, they'll get the win. And I will say 3-1 as well. I'm going 3-1. Changed my mind. I think I said 3-2 the other day. So 3-1 overall.
Yeah, I guess my 2 cents on this one. We said we'd both do one for this one, but yeah, I would also go for I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win. I really strongly fancy Leipzig in this game. I know a few people are going for the BVB, but I just think the stars are aligning for this RB Leipzig side, and I just think they often finish seasons strong, and I think it's looking the same way this season as well. And a win here for me, would more or less get them in 4th. As Rory said, there's a high chance the Bundesliga will get that extra place, but you can't guarantee that just yet. We still need a couple more wins. Potentially, I think Bayern to beat Real would confirm it from what I can gather. So, there is still work to be done. So teams have got to win this tie, and it's going to be a real entertaining match. It's surprised it's not on TV, this one. It's going to be a Halbvier, as they say over here, kickoff in Germany for that one. So, yeah, check. There's so many good games this weekend, really. But, yeah, let's move on to one of the perhaps less appealing games potentially for the neutral, which is Sport Club Freiburg against VfL Wolfsburg. I mean, obviously, the Sport Club, the main thing really now is the goodbye tour is getting very close to the end for Christian Streich. This is going to be his second to last home game after 14 years, as a coach, and over 20 years involved with the first team as well. So it's a very, very big, it's going to be a sad time as that comes to an end. A legend of German football, even bigger legend of Freiburg, probably the best coach in history, undisputedly. Against the Wolfsburg side, are obviously Hasenhüttl is in the other side of his reign, and he only about a month and a half into his reign at the club. I would say he has picked up 2 wins and 2 defeats in the time, but I wouldn't say performances have been great at all, in truth. And, they are scrambling towards that end of the season line. He's still not really got a great tune out of that squad, in truth. I just feel as though, he's not got his best players. Jonas Wind obviously got a much-needed goal, the first one since November, incredibly, last week in that vital win over Bochum. But I still don't feel as though we're getting the best out of this Wolfsburg side. And but at the same time, last week I tipped Mainz to win at Freiburg, and I just feel as though this is a bigger game for Wolfsburg. I just feel as though Freiburg, even though they're going for Conference League, I don't really feel as though they're that bothered about getting Conference League, to be honest. They've had 2 years in Europe, and it's taken its toll on that squad. It's a tired squad. It's not a very big squad, and I feel as though they might need a year without Europe, and I think deep down Streich knows that too. So I'm actually going to go for a draw in this game. I just feel as though for Wolfsburg, they need the points more in many ways. And, for Freiburg, it's just that is classic mid-table for me this season. And I feel as though Wolfsburg will get the 1-1 draw in this one. So over to you, Rory, for Augsburg.
Yeah, next game, Augsburg, Werder. Werder, of course, buzzing off their last win from the weekend against Stuttgart. I think they played really well in that. I think individuals stood up. There obviously was a lot of pressure on Dusk and co. Seemingly a lot of pressure on the forward who hasn't maybe had his best season or best few months. And he really, well, obviously one is a penalty, but his other goal was a really good finish. They all just need to play to that same level to have a chance, really. Augsburg's home form is really, really strong. Werder's away form is really, really bad. I think you've got to fancy Augsburg to get a few goals. Obviously, Zetterer in net. I think he also got a knock this week, but I think he'll be okay. But they haven't got Pavlenka anyway. So if Zetterer was also missing, that would be an issue. But I think he's been cleared to play. But he'll be busy anyway, against the likes of Tietz, Demirovic, Vargas, and co. So I strongly fancy Augsburg to get back on the horse after their 3-1 defeat to Frankfurt. So I will say 2-0 home win.
And I know that Paul will be at this game as well. So we've got a lot of people over in the Bundesrepublik. Yeah, he's over it. Yeah, in the Bundesrepublik. And yeah, you let me know he was going to be seeing this game as well. So yeah, I won't be there myself, but yeah, definitely. I've given him a few tips on, you can watch our vlogs from the Bavarian, Schwabian part of Bavaria. But yeah, definitely. Let's move on to the game of the weekend. And it's once again, it's a VfB Stuttgart top spiel. And we know they do like a top spiel, a lot more than a Sunday early afternoon, I think. But yeah, this is going to be a great game. For me, this has been the most exciting fixture of the season. These 2 games between these 2 teams, both of them have been outstanding, high quality, 2 brilliant teams. And, the one in the league, the reverse match was probably, in my opinion, that first half was the most heavily beaten I've seen Leverkusen by far this season. I think Stuttgart managed to get an XG of like 2.5 just in the first half. But obviously they weren't able to see out the win. And Leverkusen, as they've done pretty much every time under adversity, they did come back. And then the cup game was it was a classic, basically. For me, the game of the season in all of German football, and probably one of them in Europe as well, because that was a world-class match of football from both teams. It was superb. And obviously, this one might not be quite as intense with obviously Leverkusen already having lifted the title. They are the Meister going into this game, but they do want that unbeaten season, and they proved that last week by incredibly fighting back with pretty much the last kick of the match in Dortmund. So for Stuttgart, obviously, they also need the points now as well, because even though things are looking relatively comfortable, that was a big slip up last week against Bremen. They were tipped to win that game comfortably, and they weren't able to do that. But obviously it's a big week for Leverkusen. I mean, they've got this game and then they've got Roma away in the first leg of that. So if they come through this week unbeaten, then surely they're going to be favourites not only to do the unbeaten Bundesliga season, but the unbeaten full season. I think that's highly possible if they can come through this game and then the Roma one on Thursday. So yeah, I am going to go for Leverkusen to get the win, but I think it's going to be a great match. Everyone's got to check this out. I'm only going to go for 2-1, but I do believe they'll get over the line. What do you think, Rory?
Yeah, it's a huge game. The away side, my boys, will have to significantly improve from what they showed last weekend. I think you're right in saying the games that we've seen between Leverkusen and Stuttgart have been of a really high quality. That cup game was a great watch. Ultimately, Leverkusen found a way, as they have done all season. I think Stuttgart will still carve out chances. So it's just, again, whether they have that clinical edge to them. And Leverkusen, of course, still won their unbeaten season. They have that motive. The only thing I can maybe say is, yeah, will Leverkusen have an eye on the Roma match? They want to enact revenge, don't they, for that that exit that they suffered? Was it last season or 2 seasons ago?
Yeah, last season it was.
Yeah, I remember us doing the watch along for it. That was desperately sad. It was a Jose Mourinho classic, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be hard. Of course, it will be. I'd love a draw for us, but based off just basically last week, I just have my concerns. But I think that, yeah, I think we'll run them close, but I think we might just miss out. I think 2-1's pretty fair scoreline to go with. So yeah, we'll roll on to the next game, which is Gladbach and Union Berlin. Of course, Gladbach were involved in that high-scoring match. Robin Hack showing his skills in the Rückrunde, particularly, has managed to get quite a lot of goals. And there's still an awful lot of many issues with Gladbach right now in terms of the defense, the structure of the team, the midfield setup, the rotation around it. Obviously, they've had their injury issues, particularly not being able to call upon Chivan Chira a lot this season, who was supposed to be basically Marcus Thuram's replacement. And the likes of, Playa and Jordan have done okay, but ultimately, I think really as well, the defence has let them down a great deal. And Union, they need points. They're involved in this relegation race 100%. It will be a tricky match for them. I think they will fancy this one. If they can keep goals away from their end, they'll have a great chance in this. I think this could be a high scoring one, because it usually is with Gladbach. I'm gonna just sit on the fence though and say a 2-2 draw for this one.
Yeah, then we've talked a lot about big games at the top end of the table. This is maybe even the game of the weekend, some would say, between Mainz 05 and FC Köln. I mean, I know Moritz is in the chat, but I'm pretty sure he'll agree with me that this is truly a last chance saloon for the Kölner in this game. I mean, failure to win this one, and they are truly down regardless. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, and it's going to be hard as well, because they're playing against a Mainz side who are really playing well at the minute. And I actually thought they were unlucky not to nick that game in Freiburg last week in the second half. And the previous 2 home games, they've won 4-0 and 4-1 respectively. Obviously, most recently against Hoffenheim, which was a really good, probably one of their performances of the season. In general, since Bo Henriksen came in, they've been very strong at home. They've got Johnny Burkhardt scoring and looking strong again. Amiri has been an absolute revelation for them. And, the likes of Hanke Olsen, Vandenberg are back to the more defensive best. And the feel-good factor's back in Mainz as well. Although, let's be honest, a Köln win would change that very quickly, because it would drag them right back into the automatic relegation dogfight. But to be honest, I just can't look beyond this Mainz side. I've been tipping them quite a lot in recent weeks. I think this is going to be the 4th week in a row that I've tipped them to win. I'm glad you're optimistic. Oh, I thought you said Mainz to score there. Yeah. I thought you meant to win for Köln, but yeah, I'm going to stick with that as well. I don't feel as though it'll be a heavy win for Mainz, but I do feel as though they'll get the business done. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win here, which should pretty much end a fantastic club's stay in the Bundesliga. So Rory, you can close us out with Darmstadt Heidenheim.
Yeah, it could obviously be a really sad weekend in the relegation race for two clubs, particularly. One club who are right on the brink as well are of course Darmstadt. It's a meeting of the two promoted sides this year. Darmstadt will get to close out the weekend at home, obviously with the feel good factor of beating Köln last weekend, and that's great for them. They just have to try and use that confidence. Basically, they've got nothing to lose. They've got Heidenheim, who are effectively safe. Obviously, we can see them in mid-table at the moment. Heidenheim might be eyeing a couple more points, and as I think you said on Monday, Mark, they're not playing like a team who are on the beach. I don't think they're set out that way, and I expect them to still turn up. I'm probably going to predict this one with my heart rather than my head, just because I want to see Darmstadt just have a bit more joy for the rest of this season. So I might go for a 2-1 home win. That would be quite nice. Maybe Luka Pfeiffer can get the winner in the 90th minute as well. That'd be poetic. But yeah, it'll be a tight game, I think. But yeah, 2-1 for the home side. Why not?
Yeah, an interesting point as well. Actually, it's not unfeasible that Darmstadt could be relegated by the time this match kicks off. Actually, I think if Bochum and Mainz both win, and then if Union pick up a point, they'd be too far behind. Basically, they'd be 13 points behind, and even a win wouldn't save them. But obviously, that is quite a big ask. I mean, it's possible, definitely, but it's still a big ask for all three of those results to come in. But I guess all three of them seem feasible. But I agree with you, Rory. I'd like to see Darmstadt survive for another week just to keep it more interesting at the bottom and things. Yeah. But yeah, interesting weekend. I think there's not been many weekends where we've tipped a Darmstadt win at all. This could potentially be the first time. We'll have to check that out, Rory. But I can't remember any other time when we've tipped a Darmstadt win. So you never know. We might bring them some good luck there as well. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our predictions for this very, very important and, really exciting looking match day 31 of the Bundesliga season. If you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to check out our Over the Bar FB and at Village Footy. Don't forget as well that we're not only a Bundesliga YouTube channel as well, we're also a podcast. So check out the link for that. And don't forget to keep liking, commenting, and subscribing. As we said, we've got one of the busiest weeks we've ever had with Over the Bar this week. This is already the third show of the week. We've got this vlog coming out for you after, and then potentially a fantasy football and also a football league show as well tomorrow evening. So yeah, this has been a bumper week of Bundesliga action. And don't forget to check us out again with the vlog just after this finishes. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks again to Moritz, Justin, and we really appreciate your continued comments and interaction with us as well. And we'll see you again in 20 minutes for the vlog. See you then, guys.